Hello, everyone, to another episode of the Software Podcast. I have an exciting guest today. Celia is here. She is a life purpose and human design coach, and an angel in person. Let's say like this. Super inspiring, amazing story, and also an incredible gift. She will share a little bit more about it today. I'm very excited and super curious to know more about human design. And but let's start with my favorite question: who are you?
Well, thank you for having me. First of all, I'm so grateful to be here. I love the setup today. We're in nature, which is amazing. Um, who am I? That's a good question. Well, I would say that I'm someone discovering herself. And that's it. I think it's hard to always put like a definition on who we are, but if you want to hear the practical 3D terms, then I am like a Danish model and coach. I have been living in Barcelona for 10 years. Since 3 years ago, I started my own business as a life purpose and human design coach. And that's been like my dharma for the last few years, and it just gives me so much joy and pleasure. Because before that, I was really craving to do something where I felt like my soul was in it, and I really feel it is here. So,
Yeah, and how did you find it?
it was really by chance, like most of the things in my life. About 3 years ago, or a little more than 3 years ago, I hired my first spiritual coach, and she had like a human design test.
Okay.
And at that time, I was quite burned out in my life, and I was really like not happy with what I was doing. So I was at some level looking for answers, And then I took the test, and I discovered that I'm a projector, which is quite a specific profile that really has a lot of trouble functioning in the world because we're very energetic beings. And it just helped me explain myself in a way that I had never. Like, I felt so seen in a way that no one had ever made me feel seen before, I was like, wow. I'm not one to just believe in. I'm a very skeptical person, actually, when it comes to it.
So you were also skeptical in the beginning about
Yeah. And I still am, in the sense that I'm never gonna make anything the one solution for everything. I think we take whatever resonates, and then we leave the rest. But so far, I must say that everything I found about human design, I'm like, okay, I cannot dismiss any of it yet. So it's very fascinating science for me as well.
and it helps you to like discover yourself, and now it's still helping you for your clients, right?
Yeah, especially like every aura type has an overall specific purpose to their aura type. But then when you look deeper into the chart, you'll see that every person has a unique purpose. It depends on so many factors that are ruled by the planets when you were born and 89 days before you were born, etc.
89 days.
Yes,
Okay. Tell us more about it. Like, what is human design actually? How do you like define it, or for someone who's like never heard about it?
Okay. Yeah, what I like to say with human design is I call it the science of your higher self. So it's really like a way of just getting to know what is your potential, like what is your highest potential. But this potential is not promised. But it's a potential that you have within you. It's in your system, it's in your body, and you can unlock it once you understand, where might I be acting out of alignment with my design? Where might I be acting against myself? Maybe, you were taught something from your parents that was directly going against your design, and you just implemented it. Yeah. And usually, every single time we act out of alignment with our design, we suffer. And as humans, we don't like to suffer, right? But most of us don't understand like how we can avoid it. So what I find is when we understand how to align with who we are, there's just a deep sense of satisfaction and peace that comes from that. Because finally we don't have to be anything else than what we actually are anymore, and we can just embrace our unique design. So the science of the higher self. And also what I like to call it, or the way that I like to see it, it's a way that we bring the subconscious into the consciousness. Because in the human design, we look at both the subconscious and design and the conscious design. And most people are aware of their conscious design, but they're not necessarily super aware of their unconscious design. And that's very interesting, because in the subconscious, a lot of our abilities lie, So it's for me, an
most-
ingenious science, the way to say it, and it still baffles me because it's not scientifically proven at this point yet. You know, so
Wonderful. And how do you like? Is there a formula, or how do you know which person is which profile or a type? Yeah. It's based on what are those? You know, I'm the practical, like the science behind, or like
Yeah.
the logical. Try to find the logical parts. You know, based on what are those, or is it intuitive, or it's just like based on particular things that you can.
yeah, well, so if you want to look at more of the reasoning behind it, your human design type is at day 89 is when the soul incarnates into the fetus in the body, which is interesting because most people think when they have a baby they have a soul, but it's actually not until day 89 that the soul enters, and in that moment you start to already the planetary alignments influence you energetically at that moment, and that's when you start to build your subconscious, and you also, that's very much influenced by your ancestry line as well. So whatever you need to get from the ancestry line comes around that time, and then the moment you're born you enter the planet obviously, and then you're exposed to all of the neutrinos from the sun, from the planets that are always affecting Earth. Like we know the full moon can affect the water levels, and we are all water as well, you know, so it affects us. So it's basically like based upon the neutrinos that were influencing you at the moment you were born, and then the planetary alignments 89 days before you were born.
Wow.
And that's how it's calculated.
Wonderful. And there are how many aura types?
There are 5
There are
aura
5.
types.
Can you tell us more about them? All of them?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So the 5 aura types are like the general types, but it's very important to understand that even if you have 2 similar aura types, you can still have 2 different persons, in the sense that there's so many other factors in the human design chart. But there will be like some things in common. So the generators and the manifestors are the most ancient ones. And the generators are what actually originally was called like the slaves, because they have a lot of energy and they generate a lot of energy, and they can just keep working and working and working and working and working and working and working. They're like the builders of the planet. So in ancient times, those were who the manifestor would use to get their vision done, because a manifestor doesn't have a lot of energy. They have low energy, but they have a very defined throat. So that means that they are here to initiate things and instruct others about what to do. Okay. So that would be the old conquerors and the kings that were telling, like, we want to conquer this land, or we want to do this, and then they will get someone else to do it, because that's what a manifestor does.
Okay.
So in this modern day and age, manifestors also struggle a little bit with society, because they don't do well working under someone else. They're meant to initiate projects, but they're not meant to put them into action. They're meant to get someone else to do it, and a lot of manifestors don't understand that, so they burn themselves out in that process. And then the generators as well, what's very important for generators is that they trust and listen to their excitement when it comes to things, because once they start something, it's very difficult for them to stop it. So if they say yes to something they don't want to do, it's going to drain their energy, if that makes sense. So it's really important for manifestors to learn to distinguish when they really want to do something or not.
Okay. Oh. So we get generators and manifestors, and the other.
And then we have the manifesting generator, which is the hybrid between those two, which is what I think you told me that you have been told that you are.
Yeah.
We can check later if you want. Yeah. And those are hybrid, however, they're more like a generator than a manifestor. So it's the same thing, that you have a lot of energy, but you want to be careful with what you do, because if you say yes to things you don't want to do, it's going to drain you out a lot. Yeah. And you have a lot of energy. You want to do a million different things at the same time, read 10 different books at the same time, and many things you don't finish because you just do them as long as you're excited, and then you kind of leave it afterwards.
Okay.
And that's actually good for a manifesting generator, because you're meant to jump from A to Z and here and there and everywhere, because manifesting generators are like here to show others that it's okay to reinvent yourself and change, and also about authenticity, about being your authentic self and your expression.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you. And then we have the projectors.
Yes.
What about them?
Projectors is my profile. We are the newest profile type, and we came in specifically in 1741 when there was a consciousness up level, so to say, and we got 2 new centers, which was the emotional center and the splenic center, which is interesting because that's why sometimes we look back in the past and we think, how could we be so barbaric? You know, how could we do? That's because we didn't have an emotional center. We didn't have consciousness the same way as we do now. And now we would never do things in the same way, you know? And what's happening right now is we're going through another up level and we're getting 2 more centers in our system. And us as projectors, we're here to like demonstrate or kind of be the way showers of that because we are way more energetic than physical beings. We live by our aura and our life responds to our aura. So it's very important for us. Like we cannot initiate and not even through action am I going to make things happen. I'm going to make things happen by working continuously on my aura and being aware of what I want, and then the right people are going to tap into that and bring me invitations around that.
Okay.
And we are very good at seeing what others need because our aura is penetrating. So now when we're talking, my aura is like this into your aura, for instance, so that I can sense like, okay, what does she need? What is the thing that's happening? So we have like a higher perspective on things usually. But also very low energy, so we cannot work. And it's very hard for projectors to work. So what happens to many projectors that I've worked with that don't understand their energy is that either, you know, they are like dependent on government support or on their parents because they just cannot function in a normal society. Yet we have so many gifts, like, and that's why I'm very passionate about teaching projectors like how to really unlock their purpose and their gift.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and then finally we have reflectors, which is just 1% of the population, so the rarest type. And they're very special because their whole aura is open, completely open. So what they do is they just mirror back anyone and everything that they meet. They amplify it and mirror it back. They don't have actually a set personality. They're just like mirrors for everything. And they follow moon cycles. So it takes a long time for a reflector to make big decisions. They have to wait for a whole moon cycle in order to make decisions. So also you can imagine like for them society is, you know, not it's tricky, you know, because you have to, by design, I'm a reflector like in my subconscious, so I can sense what it feels like, and it's very like, there's a lot of wisdom because all our open centers bring us wisdom, but also there's obviously like a sensitivity that comes with it, so it's very interesting.
Wow, yeah. And how this knowledge about what our type we are or have can help us in our everyday life, work life, private life, like in every field of life.
Yeah.
Are they like specific, I don't know, tips and tricks that you can share with us? Of course, a few of them. It's a very deep topic, but yeah, if you're like, I don't know, generator, what are like the top 3, I don't know, qualities or yeah, things that can help you to live life to the fullest or to express your authenticity to the fullest? Does it make sense?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. It's a great question because, I mean, we all want to like go to the next level, right? Or find that more happiness and more peace. And that's why I personally love human design. Like it's a wonderful tool. And I would recommend everyone to get a human design reading by a good reader, a certified reader, professional reader, because it can really give you so much insight. And usually projectors are the ones that are best at giving readings because they can really tap in and understand your design on a deeper level. And especially if you are a projector, you should never get a reading from someone who's not, because they will not get or understand your energy in the same way. But if I were to give like an overall feedback, I would say for generators, it's all about trusting the excitement and following that. And also generators respond to the environment. So that means generators are not here to initiate. You're here to see what cues are the life giving you right now and which ones do you want to respond to.
Okay.
So you wait for cues and then you respond and you put your energy in the direction that you want to put it. When you initiate as a generator, it's not going to go. It's not going to work well.
So to be aware of like what's coming, signals.
Synchronicities, yeah, the things that you take note of. You know, it could be as simple as looking out the window and seeing the sun shining, and then you feel like, wow, maybe I should go outside in the sunshine. Like that was a cue right there, you know? And you actually have the same strategy. So for manifesting generators, it's the same. You wait for a cue, like something that makes you think like, maybe,
Yeah.
have you recognized that in your...
Yeah, sure. I mean, I call it intuition. It's like, oh, okay, I feel like, go and record the podcast on the nature. It's not in the clothes. And okay, go for it. So it's like, yeah, this resonates. Yeah.
Yeah, but usually there will be like a cue, like maybe someone saying, hey, why don't you do it in nature? Or maybe you just looked at a tree and you were like, nature. And like there will be something from life that cues you. Because for generators and manifesting generators, you work in cooperation with life, with the universal source. So that's why you need to wait for like some sort of
That's
cue.
interesting because I'm triggered when someone say, yeah, I have like that idea to make it, and then I'm like, yeah, but just do it like otherwise. It's like, no, it's, I don't know, it's maybe a conditioned state.
Yeah.
It's
Could be, and that's the interesting part, is to learn where we're conditioned, because usually it doesn't give us the results we want or the fulfilling results.
Yeah.
So that's what I always encourage people to look at, like how, in which areas are you not fulfilled, and then how could you maybe apply more of your strategy there and see how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
And so for manifesting generators, it's the same. And the other important tip I would give is allow yourself to be all over the place. Like literally, have all of your 10 hobbies, read your 10 books, and only do it as long as you're excited about it. Because the moment you're not excited about it anymore, that's your authority telling you, depending a bit on your 40, but usually, telling you that it's not for you now.
That resonates a lot, but then I push myself to finish it because it has to be finished,
That's the conditioning.
Like,
yeah. That's the conditioning, and that's what's so interesting to learn, Because haven't we all been taught, no, you have to finish and do it to the end. For some people, yeah, but for others, no.
Well, absolutely. That's interesting. It resonates a lot.
Yeah.
Many things, like, just cannot choose one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Wonderful. And to allow ourselves to just, go for it as long as we are excited, and then it's fine to change, right?
Yes, exactly.
I love this. Yeah. And then we come to manifestors.
Yeah, so manifestors are actually the only aura type that are here to initiate without any cooperation from life. They are literally the initiators and the only type that is. So they're here to get the ideas of the projects and communicate them to the world. Their strategy is to inform. So it's very important that a manifestor always speaks and informs what they're going to do. And then by that, they're going to call the right people that are going to help them. And usually it will be the generators or the manifesting generators that are going to help them bring it into life, whatever their project is. So also for manifestors, working a job is very draining. They don't have the energy for it, but they're more here to like make those things happen in the place. To take initiative, they could be the creators of movements, of organizations, of like missions, like, the conquerors and the projectors is like very important to honor our sensitivity and boundaries. It's so important because everyone wants the energy of a projector because it's very deep and wise, but we have low energy. So it's very important we learn to listen to our strategy, which is to wait for the invitations. So to see which invitations come into our lives. Like you, for instance, invited me to the podcast. Mm-hmm. And then see which ones feel good and say yes to that. And then to definitely projectors, I 100% recommend to create a business around energy guidance. Like that could be, coaching, therapy work, because we're not meant to work, but we're meant to guide energy. That's what we're really good at. Wow. And that's where we feel very recognized. And that's a lot what I dedicate myself to, is to help projectors get into that, because we're very powerful when we do that. Mm. And the reflectors finally just like, they actually go through every single human design profile in a month. So in 1 week, they'll be a manifestor, 1 week, they'll be a projector, in 1 week. So they just need to let themselves flow with whatever's happening and take their time when it comes to making decisions about who they want to have in their life. It takes usually 28 days for a reflector. And they're here to mirror the health of society and the people around them. So that's why they're the mirrors, So if they are in environments that make them feel sick, get out of it, because it's a sign that this environment is not healthy. And just, again, learn to honor the sensitivity and the wisdom.
Yeah. You taught something about the energetic centers. Can you tell us more about this? How many are they, or does every one of us have something like the same centers, or they're different for every aura type, or like how it works exactly?
I wonder if you're in one line, because the one line wants to understand everything. I'm thinking you might be. Yeah, so everyone has the same centers, but for different people, they're either defined or undefined. And that means they're either open or they're either absorbing energy or they're generating energy to the environment. And that gives you different energetic, how to say, virtues and like capacities. When a center is open, like a reflector has all the centers open, you gain wisdom because you absorb a lot of energy. When it's generating, you're giving that wisdom to the world, you know? So that's where you have to look at your individual chart and you have to see, okay, so which ones are defined and undefined. But we all have the same ones, but they function differently in every chart depending on your energy channels, etc.
Yeah, it's definitely more like complex than just this. I saw like a structure or this, I don't know, with the files and some some numbers and stuff, and some places are like full with some information, at least at my profile, as long as I can like read it, or at least I can observe it only. But the spaces where like nothing inside, they're absorbing. Should I understand like this?
Yeah, you absorb and amplify the energy of the environment in this.
Wow, very interesting. And then based on that information, we can make it easier, right? I mean, in specific fields, right?
Yeah, like it tells you also about, like, say if you want to start your own business. I use this a lot in my work. It can tell you about from where do you sell and where do you serve, because you serve through your undefined centers and you sell through your defined centers. So that's why you build a specific strategy around that. And that's quite unique from every different person, you know. And I like, when I help people make businesses, I like to look at that, because in that way we create a business that actually honors your design, so that it's sustainable for you and you get to shine in
It's
it.
an alignment with,
Yeah.
with the self, or not the self, but with the authentic.
Yeah, exactly. So it becomes a lot more effortless, right? Instead of you trying to follow some strategy from some guru, or maybe it works for him perfectly because he has a different energy type than you have, right? And also in life in general, for instance, if you have an open emotional center, you will absorb and amplify the emotions of others. And if you don't know how to manage that, that can be very overwhelming.
Wow, exhausting, right?
Exactly, and like you can be terrified of conflict. Usually people with an open emotional center that have it conditioned are terrified of conflict. And they always try to make sure that, especially people with defined emotional centers, like, are you okay? Are you okay? Is there something? Because they're scared of conflict, they're scared of strong emotions. And then they might absorb a lot of emotions from others and mistake them for their own. So it's like there are a lot of beautiful intrinsic things you can use down to the smallest details of how to have more harmony with my partner, or how to digest my food better, or how to work in the most effective way, up until like how to make the most money, or how to create a business that's sustainable. And
Wow. Yeah, it's really interesting and super complex, like so many details, and but it sounds really, really interesting and helpful. Also for, let's say, helpful, but like, yeah, to beneficial for this human experience we have, right?
yeah,
Human design for a human experience.
exactly.
Yeah, I love it. And you always keep the part with your story. It's so fascinating. I just so. And yeah, tell us more about you and about your journey, like Denmark to Spain to the mountains. It's a little spoiler, and then to Bali, and then back to Barcelona. Why Barcelona? And yeah,
Yeah, so
how the story began.
it's a very long story, but I've trained myself to tell it in a condensed manner for a long time now. But it started, you know, like around 15 years ago when I was 18, and I had like I like to call it my point of initiation. It was like my life crisis where I had suicidal depression and I had tried to like kill myself. I took like an overdoses of beta blockers. And it was like the deepest point, you know, I think most people can get to. And at that same time, I had like this feeling that I'm here to do something. You know, it was like I suddenly made space for that part of me that could connect with that. And so after I got out of the hospital and everything, I became kind of obsessed with discovering, like, okay, so what am I here to do? Because that was the most meaning I had found up until that point. You know, before that, I was really trying to fit in and be like I was told that I had to be.
Like
And
most of us, yeah.
exactly, which is like, that's again what I love about human design, because it shows us there's no one box that fits everyone. So it's very difficult when we try and fit in, because we literally don't fit in anywhere apart from ourselves, you know? And so what I started doing was asking myself questions and like trusting myself more rather than society, because I had learned, well, it's not really giving me the results I want in my life. In fact, more like the opposite. And that's when I made some changes that really transformed my life. Like I changed my lifestyle to a raw vegan lifestyle. And I cured suicidal depression within a matter of 3 days of just eating that
Wow.
way. And to me, I remember it still almost clear like day. You know, it was like, how do you explain that? It's like you haven't remember how it felt to be happy for so long. And then suddenly you're feeling super happy for no reason whatsoever.
That's alignment.
Like, it was like, I don't know why I'm happy, but I'm feeling so good, you know? From eating, like it was 3 days of eating bananas and oranges, basically, lots of them. And so I stopped taking the pills and I stopped seeing the psychiatrist and I never went back.
Wow.
And that was like, you know, many, many years ago. And that's my first encounter where I learned, wow, like, how come no one told me about this, you know? Like I'd been years in therapy, blah, 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 none of it really helped. And then I do this thing by myself and I cure myself, literally. Disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, so don't do this at home, you know? But that got me to question things and it got me to wonder, what else have I not been told in this world? And so I just became very rebellious and I just said, fuck it to society. I moved to Spain in the mountains. I met my soulmate at the time and I just like totally detached myself. I cleared out all of my possessions. I sold basically everything I owned.
Oh, wow.
And I just went to the mountains here in Spain without a phone, without a social security number, without nothing, no job.
Without social security number. Can you imagine this?
I didn't even think of it, you know?
Of course, that's so cool.
I didn't want anything to do with society. Like I wouldn't. But I mean, it was a bit extreme, you know? It's not like I'm suggesting people
but
to
you
do
needed
this.
it at that point.
Exactly, I did, because I had spent most of my life in the midst of everything, you know? And I think at some point when you go through like a process like that, you will go to the extremes a little bit until you find more of the middle ground. And that was my extreme time. And I was fasting lots. I did like a 22-day water fast with a doctor. And like I was so disciplined. I was ready to just like let it all go and to find myself, you know? And my question was always like, why am I here? What am I here to do? What is this thing that I felt like I'm here to do something? What is that something? You know? And that's when, like in around 2015, I saw like a vision of myself at the time working with Victoria's Secret actually as a model.
Wow.
Which for me was like, it seemed like a cosmic joke, you know, because I was
Like you were there in the mountains and then this vision is coming, it's like, okay.
I was in the airport actually that day. I remember
Okay.
I was on my way back from Denmark. I had seen my parents, which was very challenging at the time.
For them too, believe me.
Yeah, like because I was going through all this healing, and you know our parents are our biggest teachers many times.
Oh, yes.
And it was a very tough trip for me. And I was on the way back, and then I was in the airport, and I think there was a Victoria's Secret shop or something, and they had a big screen. And I just like, I saw myself there. I don't know how to explain it. It was so like clear as day, you know?
Yeah.
Which was super like confusing to me because it was not the answer I expected at all. You know, I was really like, I was at that point where it's like I had been okay releasing everything. And I think that's a powerful point as well. It's like when you're okay with having nothing in your life whatsoever, then things can start to come. And seeing that, I was like, okay, so, but it was the only thing I had. So I started, you know, learning about the subconscious, how to like change your life and make your goals happen, all this kind of stuff, because I felt like this was my path now.
And then you went for it.
I went for it, yeah, but with very little understanding of life, I would say.
Also.
In the sense that, you know, it's a little difficult when you've been totally isolated from the world to start stepping in, because I was also very naive, believing everyone is like, everyone has great intentions, and definitely in that world, not everyone has good intentions. Even if they deep down do, they get tainted at some point, you know. So I had to learn some lessons, definitely. And more so, it was also still, I had to learn how to operate in society, because again, as a projector, I had no idea how to work, basically, which was my struggle, is that I had to also make some money because I had no money at all. Like, I was living in poverty, basically, like way below the poverty line. And I didn't know how to, and as projectors that are not meant to work, it was like a whole journey that then led me to discovering human design, and then connecting me again back to that spiritual side. So it was like I went from, you know, living this normal life into complete like asceticism, is that what you call it? And then back into society, and then into like finding the middle point thanks to human design. And now I created this business where I get to, you know, share my spiritual gifts, all of the practices I've done on myself, which were the practices that I implemented once I started learning about this, that helped me. I was in real estate at the time as well. Helped me become like the best real estate agent of the company, despite knowing nothing about real estate whatsoever. Like, I was selling houses and apartments for millions here in Barcelona for really successful people, and I didn't know nothing about real estate, but I knew how to navigate energy, and I knew how to make people trust me because I was very authentic. And so that's when I realized, wow, I think I'm onto something when it comes to abundance and business, you know. So that's why I focus a lot on that. And then the modeling is still there. I still do it. It's my inner child, like little dream, something that I loved when I was a little girl as well. And let's see if one day, like if one day maybe you see me on the runway there, like I'm not attached to it at all. But I trust life, you know, and I have a feeling that one day it will happen, and I'm just here to see like whatever life has in store, you know.
Wonderful. Really, really beautiful. And now, how do you balance like, you know, that spiritual part and existing in this very physical world we are like surrounded? Do you have like moments or situations where you like feel that you're out of alignment, like, or you're just like straight there present, and you're, you know, navigate your energy and your being, and you don't get distracted from like society or situations of life?
Yeah, that's a really beautiful question. Thank you for asking that. I think, you know, I'm very privileged in many ways because my business is run on spiritual work. So I'm not like stuck in the matrix and like in a job and have to, I literally get to do energy sessions for my clients, and like that's what I do for a living, you know. So I think I'm privileged in the sense that I get to stay connected with that a lot. Plus, I live in Montserrat, which is an energetically very potent place. Like, wow, the energy there. And I'm very sensitive because I'm a reflector by design, so I really amplify whichever environments I'm in. So whenever I'm in environments that make me not feel good, I just quickly redirect myself because I can sense it.
Was that always like this? Like to feel that you're not... you don't feel good in that place or situation, so you can remove yourself from them, or just...
I mean, I've always felt it, but most of my life I thought it was me. Like, you know, when we don't feel good and we think, oh, what's wrong with me? Why am I not feeling good? And then we realize, wow, it's because this is actually not good for me, you know? So I learned that, but I had to learn it a little bit for experience. But yeah, so I'm privileged in that, but I still interact in the world because I have to. Sometimes it happens that I stay in the mountains for a little bit, and then I almost like I come back into the city and I'm a bit like, how do you talk to people? Like, I don't know how to navigate being a human, you know? So I try to have that balance, and I dance as well, and I really stay among many different groups of people. But I always come back to like my soul work, which is, you know, that energy healing work. And
connection is also very important, right, for our being, for our development, and also all our teachers are like our people close to us. It's very important, and the connection to nature and otherwise is also super, super important. And
Yeah. And I think, it's like, as however you want to term it, like as spiritual workers, in reality, like I don't feel this is the day and age for us to be in the caves and meditate and send the good energy to people. It's like we're in the midst of everything, and we transform it from the inside by being the examples, by bringing our energy into the city and showing people that there is a different way. And it's kind of like fun in the way that I
yes, I
see.
think that's the purpose of being here. you
Yeah.
know? And yeah, we are spiritual beings, but we have this tool, right? Being in this body with this mind and interacting with everything around us, and it's really fun. And exactly this joy is for me like the greatest purpose.
Yeah.
We have to develop, to learn, to with any aspects of it, like from the suffering to the joy and back, and because yeah, that's life. And to experience it's like the most fun it's possible.
Yeah.
And this is super.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely.
And yeah, what about Bali? Are you like organizing retreats there, or you're just going to for yourself to connect, to reconnect, to because to have just because to have fun and to enjoy yourself, or
A little bit of everything, I
a
would
little
say.
of everything?
I love Bali, it's so special to me. And I have, for those people that know about astrocartography, my sun line is in Bali, so that means it's a very energetically powerful place for me to be. So I love going there, like at least once a year. And I do want to do retreats there, absolutely one day. But now the next retreat I'm having is going to be in Montserrat. So I start, a little bit closer to everything.
Sure.
And then I'm going to build it as we go. But for now, I just go there for like my own growth, my own activations, taking a moment to reflect and just like becoming aware of what are the next things I need to work through, what are my next lessons.
And how do you like found out that Bali is your how you even call it like an ancestor center? What?
No, it's called astrocartography, and it's a part of astrology that shows you
Oh.
where your energetic influences on the planet are.
Okay.
And it's very powerful because it actually is like, and it's like if you want to move somewhere, you should know about astrocartography.
But I thought it was a line, like not only one place.
Yeah.
They're like
It goes
it's
it
a
goes
line,
through
and
several different
so
places.
Bali is one of those.
Yes, well, the line goes, and then you have like the point, and the point reaches around 600 kilometers in radius. So it's going to be around the area, but not big necessarily.
Yeah.
And yeah, Bali, for me, Bali and Malaysia and that area is like the place.
Yay. Wonderful. I'm excited to see how your journey develops. And thank you so much for being here, for sharing your time, your energy, your gifts with me, with us. And thank you so much.
Thank you.